Hello, my name is Paul Wood, and I believe that every problem in your life that's conflicting, that's enduring, comes from your relationship with stress and anxiety. In today's conversation, we're going to speak about the deeper aspects of anxiety. This is something that's massively important, yet probably 99.9% of people do not get or understand. So let's quickly break it down into two different aspects, which are two different stages of recovery that I help clients with every single day. The first stage is what you could call the feeling good stage. It's where we deal with the aspects where we actually feel good. So you've got some specific debilitating, nasty symptoms that are affecting you, probably mentally, emotionally, or physically in some sort of way. And we deal with those symptoms so they reduce massively and you feel tremendously better. But the second aspect is the deeper aspect, is the aspect which is the most important, is the aspect which pretty much everyone ignores, but is the aspect which actually changes your life permanently and forever. So this aspect feels good, but it's potentially temporary. And this aspect makes this aspect firstly permanent, and this aspect massively changes all the problems, conflicts that are arising in your life and stopping you living your life in a way that you want to. So as I look at my own life, because that's all I have to look at, look back, it caused me certain issues, certain strange issues that I'm going to explain now. So firstly, it made me hyper avoidant. So I remember looking back when I was younger, I never did my homework probably once for most classes in a whole year. So maybe at high school, some of the classes, I maybe did it 5 times in the whole year. So I went in every single lesson that we had homework, which is most lessons, got told off, got shouted at by the teachers every single day, which is weird, isn't it? Because I was suffering from anxiety. I hated that. Made me the center of attention because sometimes every single other kid in the class did it apart from me. So then obviously you got told off much more by the teacher, which doesn't make any sense because surely someone with anxiety that was stressed would be more likely to do those things, wouldn't they? No, because what it did for me is it made me hyper avoidant. So I couldn't get into certain habits in my life, between the age of maybe 0 and 25, I didn't have any habits, nothing I could do habitually. Why? Because I was primarily driven to avoid pain, to avoid danger, to avoid this, to avoid that. So when I got home and thought about doing my homework, my brain associated, weirdly, the pain and stress of the teacher shouting at me with the thought of doing the homework. Therefore, it made me stressed and I couldn't do the homework. So someone who had a small amount of stress from that experience would be able to do the homework to avoid the pain from the teacher. Whereas me, I was totally and utterly overwhelmed by it. Therefore, trying anything new, doing habits, doing good things, so many different things, I was just completely frozen, completely shut down, completely held back, and completely avoidant. And every single day, we look outside, all of us, and we walk along the street and you see young kids, teenagers, mostly boys, sitting on park benches, totally bored, anxious, stressed, insecure, trapped and shut down in a similar way to what I was. It may be different specifically for them, but it's the same mechanism that stops them being motivated, driven, focused, and engaged with the world. It shuts us down, and then we begin to feel stress and conflict with everything. Cool, so let's look at that because it's massively important for my life and for your life. So, when kind of generally people talk about anxiety, we really only talk about the first part. So we just talk about the symptoms that people experience. So even when psychiatrists, psychologists, doctors look at anxiety, they measure it to diagnose you with an anxiety disorder as having specific symptoms over a specific period of time. So if you have those symptoms, then you have an anxiety disorder. And if you don't, then you don't. But the problem is, it's total rubbish because you could not have these symptoms for a period of time, be someone suffering from anxiety, but still have severe anxiety. Just because the symptoms go away, it doesn't really mean anything because, anxiety in that sense is like an iceberg where we have symptoms on top, but the deeper aspects, how it affects us mentally, emotionally, behaviorally, and physically, is huge underneath. And just because these symptoms were having a good week or a good month or a good day or a good year, it doesn't make any difference. So when I was younger, I could have had periods of time where I didn't feel anxious, or I might feel okay. Most of that came from avoiding doing the things that would make me feel anxious. But even if I did experience that, where I didn't actually feel anxious. So it's like, wow, I don't have anxiety. I don't feel stressed. I felt fine, felt comfortable. No, I did, but I didn't deal with it properly. I just avoided it. If you went out in the world now and did everything that you need to, would you feel anxious? Probably you would, which shows that, even if people avoid it, they don't really deal with it. Anyway, so let's get back to the point. So the point of this conversation is to talk about that second part. Because the first part, is something where, clients come to see me and you've got specific presenting problems, symptoms, things that are frustrating you, overwhelming, and causing you some sort of pain in your life. And in generally, people just focus on that narrow top part. So it may be specific things that are making you feel a certain way. And people want to reduce and get rid of those things, which is totally reasonable. And, pretty much 100% of people are going to do tremendously well at that, feel massively better, even if they've had these symptoms for years, even if it's been really conflicting, even if they've tried lots of things they haven't worked for. It doesn't make any difference. When you focus on it in the right way, all those things are going to go away. And then there's the second aspect, which is the aspect that, frustratingly, anyone that wants to deal with isn't going to find when they go down the medical route, isn't going to find when they go down all these different routes, because they're purely designed to just manage those symptoms on top. So if I'd have gone to see someone like that when I was younger, even if my anxiety had gone away and then the clinic said you no longer have anxiety, the deeper aspects would have lasted decades and decades and still sabotaged and destroyed and messed up my life. So a lot of the business people who I talk to, very often they've experienced huge chronic stress from running one of their businesses before, or being, at work if someone's a professional doing a certain job. And, they've thought, and it's created huge amounts of stress on them that's accumulated over a period of time. And then they've kind of maybe left that job or maybe stopped running that business and then moved towards something different. Maybe had a break, maybe had a month off. But their perspective is that if I don't feel stressed, then, I'm not stressed. But there's a tipping point that happens. And once you experience a certain amount of accumulative stress or anxiety and you pass that red zone, it doesn't just go away. The deeper aspects then affect you forever, pretty much. And the majority of people that you see, if they've experienced really bad chronic stress or really bad anxiety, they will never, ever in their whole life recover to be at their best again. The deeper aspect will continuously, unconsciously affect them in every single way. So this may affect someone on the bottom end of the scale. Say if someone's, totally shut down, can't even leave their home. But equally affects just as many people on the top who are doing really well and earning good money. But, that sabotage is going to cause their relationships to be absolutely rubbish. There's going to be no intimacy, no connection. Their partner's not going to want to have sex with them. And it's going to suck all around. And then what's the point in succeeding if emotionally you feel totally bankrupt? There's not much value in it, is there? Or they may succeed, but the longer they stay in that business and the more they do it, the more emotionally they just feel that life is pointless. All motivation, all joy, all fun, all passion, all excitement, everything that makes life worth living has gone because the tension, the stress has overwhelmed it to the point people don't even experience these natural impulses, tendencies, and expressions any longer in their life. So, my focus is always on the deep aspects of the bit that I'm passionate about, the deep aspects of the bit that really make this issue, firstly, a problem that becomes permanent, so that you resolve permanently. And secondly, it's knowing in yourself, every single problem you've got on that side, as you resolve them, it's not just they take away pain, it's just on the flip side, everything becomes a billion times better. So imagine me. So I can't even do my homework at all because I feel that anxious and that shut down and that avoidant that it just causes me pain. And imagine on the opposite side where now I could set any habit and do it effortlessly every day without really much difficulty or challenge or problem at all. But what's the difference? Am I the same person? We are the same person. Am I just a better human being now? I'm not really any different. The difference is the part of me that was causing me huge sabotage, conflict, pain for many years just simply no longer exists. So instead of that, making my life worse every single day, well, on the flip side, when you deal with those things get better and better and better and better and better. And life is simple, isn't it? It's only 4 things we need to do in life. We need to have a good relationship where our emotional needs are met. We need to have a job, earning money, doing something that we enjoy, perhaps. We need to take care of our physical body, and we need to take care of our inner well-being. So it's just 4 things. But what you'll find is, as you probably are well aware, that so many capable, resourceful, even the top people in our society are probably massively failing at least 2 of them. That's not normal, is it? It doesn't really make any sense. It can't just be that they're daft or stupid or ignorant. it's purely because even if they do try, it will be impossible to succeed over the longer term, all four, because that aspect is so sabotaging that it will continuously poison their behavior, poison their emotional well-being, stop them, hold them back, make them shut down in their relationships, make them move away from intimacy, make them conflicted, make them make choices to avoid pain rather than choices to create wonderful things in their life. Yeah, awesome, guys. It's quite a deep conversation that we've had, but it's knowing in yourself. If you're a person who's been held back and trapped by these things, just stop focusing on the symptoms. Most of us are strong enough to just double down and endure the crappy symptoms. Yeah, just endure them, just push through. Often I see guys working 14 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, have done for years, and they're going through all kinds of stuff to try and make it and do well in life, and yet they're great. They can endure it and come across confident, happy people. But the deeper aspect is totally and utterly wrecking their life over time. One guy I spoke to recently came home from work. His wife had left him, taken their 4 or 5 kids away. Yeah, and he is a young guy in his 20s, and his life looked perfect from the outside perspective. So he had like massive house, brilliant job that he'd worked at over years to move up in his career. So he'd worked so hard, done everything right in every single way, but massively he'd ignored these aspects of himself. So as his stress and anxiety rose, these deeper aspects, he could endure these, but didn't see the deeper aspects that were totally poisoning his relationship, poisoning his well-being, poisoning his ability to connect intimately with other human beings. And, eventually the price he paid was huge, absolutely huge because of it. Awesome, guys. Take care.